Talk about Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans right now are 3-11 on the season. This is one of the most disappointing teams in the NFL because of all the moves they made in the offseason, from signing Calvin Ridley to making a trade to bring in L'Jarius Sneed and bringing in Tony Pollard. Many people thought that at least the Tennessee Titans could go out there and win 7 to 8 games this season. That has not been the case. And I want to talk about the biggest elephant in the room. And it's not the coaching staff. It's Will Levis and his offensive line. Will Levis has missed time this season dealing with a shoulder injury, but he was able to return back into the starting lineup. There has been a lot of good moments with Will Levis and a lot of terrible moments with Will Levis as well. I want to say this. I'm not saying go out there, move off of Will Levis. He can't play in the NFL. Turnovers are going to be a major problem with this kid throughout his entire career. We've seen this in the past with quarterbacks like Jameis Winston, who is still struggling with turnovers till this day. Will Levis has talent to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, but he can't be a consistent starter in the NFL right now. He's only in his second year. You can give him more time. I'm not going to come on here and say, move off of Will Levis, get rid of him. But they need to find a way to go out there and bring in another quarterback, whether it's through the NFL draft or through free agency, because Mason Rudolph is not going to be your guy long term. They pulled Will Levis today in the game against the Cincinnati Bengals. He had 3 interceptions. He's costing the Tennessee Titans games. And I understand that this offensive line is one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, especially on the right side. This may be the worst offensive line in the NFL. Just 2 weeks ago, in the span of 3 games, Will Levis got sacked 20 times. 20. And I look at the left side of this offensive line. It's promising. You have J.C. Latham, who you selected in this year's first round. I think that he's going to be a great tackle long term. You let him develop underneath Coach Callahan, the offensive line coach. You have Peter Skoronski, who was a very good player in last year's draft class. That's when you select him, but he was a very good player last season. He's been solid this season. Your center position, you bring in Cushenberry, was a very good center with the Denver Broncos. Only allowed 1 sack on over 900 snaps played. The problem was this. He tore his Achilles over a month ago. He may not be the same player. And even before he tore his Achilles, he wasn't a good center. I look at the right tackle position. From Nicholas Petit-Ferrer, who doesn't deserve to be in the NFL because he's terrible, and Jalen Duncan, those are terrible tackles to have on a consistent basis. And you also look at Leroy Watson. These are not good players to have on that right side. You need to bring in another right tackle. And that's what brings me to this question. Do you move off of Will Levis knowing that your offensive line is this bad? Because I've seen Will Levis go out there and make some sweet throws to DeAndre Hopkins in the past. I've seen him make some nice throws to Calvin Ridley and Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. There's something there with Will Levis, but the turnovers have to stop. And we're late into this season. This is not your typical young player. He did not get to sit his entire rookie season. Will Levis started majority of his rookie season last season when Ryan Tannehill went down with an ankle injury. They started Malik Willis in the 4th quarter when they were overseas, and then they went with Will Levis for the rest of the season until he started to deal with his own injuries to his foot. A terrible offensive line then also. But Will Levis looked better last season than how he has looked right now. And you have a better coach offensive-wise than Coach Callahan. The offensive line is not better, and you have better weapons around you with Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, who was very good last season, and you have Calvin Ridley, and you have Chika Congo at the tight end position, and you have a very good running back in Tony Pollard. They need to fix this offensive line. But when I look at Will Levis, I don't believe that he's going to be a consistent starting quarterback in the NFL long term if he can't fix these turnovers. This man cost them 2 games this season. Their first game against the Chicago Bears. This defense went out there and they made Caleb Williams' life a living hell. They limited him to only 95 passing yards. And I understand it was a block punt on the Tennessee Titans special teams on their end. Then when you look at this situation, Will Levis threw a pick 6 in this matchup and threw the game-sealing interception, and it was the last play for the Tennessee Titans against the New York Jets. He had the fumble in the red zone where you could possibly walk away with 3 points or even better, a touchdown. He's leaving points on the board because he's turning the football over. Just a couple weeks ago, when the Tennessee Titans defeated the Houston Texans, he threw a pick 6 in that matchup. These are costly turnovers. Not every turnover is created equal, but when I look at Will Levis, he's putting them behind the 8 ball. This is a Tennessee Titans team. They have a very good defense. They have one of the best defenses in the NFL with T'Vondre Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons, and Harold Landry. They have a very good and strong defense, even with L'Jarius Sneed not playing well this season. But a lot of it is on Will Levis because he has not played up to the stature. This was a man that a lot of people projected to be a first-round pick. I remember him on draft day. He was sitting in the green room. He was looking upset. He was looking sad because he slid out of the first round. Now we're starting to see why. Will Levis, big, strong, athletic, can make all the nice plays, but there's something there with the turnovers. And he's not only just throwing interceptions, he's also fumbling the football. And Coach Callahan seems like he's had enough. Against the Cincinnati Bengals today, a team that he used to be the offensive coordinator for, he pulls him in favor of Mason Rudolph, and the offense looked better. Calvin Ridley looked better with Mason Rudolph. Chigga Congo looked better with Mason Rudolph. And I'm not advocating for Mason Rudolph to be the starter for the rest of the season. There is a learning curve, but we've seen quarterbacks go out there with less games and show more improvement. Will Levis did go on a 2-game span where he did not throw an interception. He did look better. It's more than just 2 games in the NFL. You have to be consistently good, and you have to be consistently able to take care of the football. And if you can't, you're not going to make it in the NFL. That is why Jameis Winston is a backup right now in this league. So I am concerned about Will Levis. I'm also concerned about this end. If they move off of Will Levis and you bring in a rookie quarterback, you bring in another guy, he can't deal with pressure, you may break him as well. Now, this is the interesting thing here. You bring in a quarterback that has more mobility than Will Levis, and he's able to go through his progression at a quicker rate. It may make this offensive line look better. Look at Jaden Daniels right now with the Washington Commanders. They have one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. Sam Howell was a turnover machine. Look at the Commanders right now because he's able to go through his progressions. Not every second is created equal. I know that this offensive line is terrible and they're bad, but Will Levis does hold on to the football for too long. He looks like a deer in headlights against certain looks, especially against the blitz. And we didn't see some of these problems in Kentucky. And he dealt with an injury his last season with Kentucky. So when I look at Will Levis, he has to go out there for the rest of this season. If they're going to start him, take care of the football, be more conservative, and take those deep shots down the field when they are needed. It's too many times where he's looking for the big play. He's trying to play hero ball. That's going to get you cut out of the NFL. The Tennessee Titans, they have talent. You have Tony Pollard. You have Nick Westbrook-Akine. You have Calvin Ridley. I know some people may not be that high on Calvin Ridley, but it's not his fault this season. This is one of the best deep threats in the NFL. We saw this with the Jacksonville Jaguars and with the Atlanta Falcons. He's a very good player. You just have to feature him and get him the football. And I like Tajay Spears also, playing behind a guy like Tony Pollard. But this offensive line, you need to fix it. You have a very good tight end in Chigga Congo. Treylon Burks, unfortunately, is a bust. And for the ones that may not know, this general manager did not move on from A.J. Brown and bring in Treylon Burks. That was a different general manager. That was a previous regime. And I'm happy that they got rid of him. Your brand new general manager is Rand. Rand is trying to do the best that he can. He's trying to throw the money out there to bring in the right talent, to bring in the veterans. That's the man that went out there and drafted J.C. Latham. This is the same man that brought in L'Jarius Sneed, Cushenberry, Tony Pollard, Calvin Ridley. He's trying to bring in the right veterans to help speed up this rebuilding process, but it's not working out right now. And I don't believe that you have to go out there and fire Coach Callahan. This is not on him. Your defense looks good. Guys are getting open down the field, but this offensive line is still a problem, just like how it was last season. And Will Levis has not progressed. That's not on Coach Callahan. I like the plays that he's calling right now. This is the same coach that went out there and schemed up a very good win over the Houston Texans. So I'm seeing the right progressions with the players. It's just not with the offensive line, and it's not with Will Levis in particular. But when I look at the Tennessee Titans, I do believe they're heading into the right direction underneath this general manager. I think they will be okay, and I do believe that if Will Levis can just tone down on the turnovers, that they will be in a better situation. But they have to figure these things out, and it's not up to the coach in this situation. We always come on here, we blame coaches, we blame the general manager and ownership. We have to hold players accountable. Players have to block better, and Will Levis has to play better. And it's very unfortunate that Treylon Burks is a bust because they thought that they were going to be able to bring him in and be that A.J. Brown replacement. I know right now you may be laughing if you're a Tennessee Titans fan, but this was a man that was a beast in Arkansas. It just hasn't worked out. He can't separate. He can't catch the football. You can't put him inside the slot because he's not twitchy enough. And he just can't stay on the field and stay healthy for a long time throughout the entire season. So it's best to move on from Treylon Burks, decline that fifth-year option, and possibly bring in another wide receiver. But Nick Westbrook-Ikine has shown that he can be a true number 2 wide receiver in the NFL on a consistent basis. Calvin Ridley is a number 1. You moved off of DeAndre Hopkins for a draft pick with the Kansas City Chiefs. That was a smart move to do because DeAndre Hopkins was not going to be here for the next 3 to 5 years. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about the Tennessee Titans and should they move on from Will Levis? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.